Tell you what though, I've been reading as much news as I can about it, and there's no way to be fully up to date because it's all still developing. But they really won't let us have or not have TikTok. There's so much conflicting news. I've never seen so many notifications on news. News notifications that said maybe. No news is solidified. Trevor, like, is TikTok banned or is it not? You know, because it's like not right now. But it's not right now the way TikTok feels like how I used to pay my light bill. Do you know what I mean? Because it be low, but I'm like, they gonna shut it off. I gotta get together, they gonna shut it off. All right. And then I call them up and be like, look, if I can get you $45 today, how much light will that get me? And like, well, your bill is past due. So past due is past due. We gotta shut it off as past due. And I'm like, but it would be less past due if it was $45 closer to not past due, right? And they're like, sir, it doesn't really work like that. I'm like, it works however you work it. Come on, I need to see. Because there was this looming ban, and then the Biden administration, which is wild. Both. At one point, Trump didn't want TikTok. Trump was like, I'm going to ban TikTok. This is years ago, but he was like, I'm going to ban TikTok. And then not much really happened with it. Then they actually like passed a bill under Biden where they were going to ban TikTok. And then it was like looming for like months. And it felt like nobody was really talking about it. Not no one as in absolutely no one, but just like the news and stuff. There were other things to cover. And then it got close. And then it got to yesterday. And it was gone. And it was gone early. It was supposed to be this morning that they cut it off. And then last night they were like, let's be safe. And they shut it off. But when they shut it off, I was like, I don't know if they really needed to do that. We had 4 more hours. I was looking at the way I look at my light bill. Like if they had cut off my light early, I bet just because I don't have the money doesn't mean you got to take. Now you owe me 4 hours of light. That's 4 hours where I better see at night. We have so little faith in our government actioning anything that we were like, nah, it's probably not gonna get banned. Like they said that, but they say stuff. That's what they do. They just be talking all the time. You ever watch C-SPAN? That's just them talking. And then they talk, and then they're like, no, we promise you'll have health care eventually. And then we're like, well, it still hurt, and it's infected now. So I guarantee you they're not gonna ban it because I've been sick. Been sick, and they said they were going to help me, and they still working on helping me. So there's no way they could do one thing before the other. They got to help me with my sickness before they ban the app. That oh no, they did it. Okay, wow. It also comes down to what people use the apps for, because they all serve a different purpose. Lots of people have everything, by the way. Lots of people have all the platforms because they use them for different things. Even if they post the same thing on everything, they get different things out of it, like different feedback from the different communities that are on all the platforms, right? Because every platform has a different function. You go like Facebook. Facebook is like general life updates, but in like a major way. It's when paragraphs worth of stuff has happened to you. And there's pictures too, but the pictures usually go along. Usually it's like somebody quit their job, so they post a picture of a sunset, and then they just talk about everything their job ever did wrong to anybody. Really air out the whole job in the post. Twitter is mostly for when you hate something. You mostly bring what you hate to Twitter to get other people mad about it. I've had good days, and then I accidentally opened Twitter, and I got mad about a whole host of things that I've never thought I would be mad. I didn't even know it existed until I read about it on Twitter. I don't even know if it's real. It could be a lie, but I'm very angry. You know? It's so bad on Twitter that Elon Musk was like, we gotta start being more positive, y'all. The richest, trolliest troll of all time was getting lit up so hard. He was like, y'all, kindness is the way, though. Not like the more I live, the longer I live, the more I can tell that like positivity, that's the stuff. You know, Instagram is in an interesting place right now. I'm sure everybody has a different algorithm, but Instagram been a lot more butts lately for me, and all I really do is like look up pictures of Shiba Inus, and so I don't know where they're getting Shiba Inu and then just ass from that. But we are where we are. You know, Reddit is a huge platform that doesn't get enough credit for being like in the top 5 of like used platforms. You know? And on Reddit, that's where the secrets come out. You find out stuff on Reddit you didn't think was humanly possible. People will tell you stuff on Reddit that either happened to them or that they did, where you wish that there was. You know how people said for a long time Facebook wouldn't do anything about it. For a long time, everyone was using Facebook. So this was talking about like when I was in like high school, college, everybody was using Facebook, and they were like, why can you only like stuff? You should be able to dislike stuff. You should be able to, and they finally added all the emoji icons for the different reactions to a post. On Reddit, when I'm reading sometimes, I deeply wish that there was just a police icon, just so I could be like, all right, that is jail. That's jail. Because the amount of jail-worthy things that get admitted on Reddit is truly astounding. The level of honesty coming out would make a detective shudder. Sometimes a detective is in the room hearing somebody's confession, and all the detective posts under it in the thread is, that's crazy. Like, this is your job, sir. There are bodies to find. And then TikTok served a new purpose. TikTok was in this really interesting place. I don't know if it still is to everyone, but it had the jump. It had the corner market when it came out on like authenticity. Yes. You could blow up on TikTok by being yourself. There was no like algorithmic thing that you had to figure out. Some people went that route. Some people were like, oh, you know, you have to have a flash on your video in the first 2.5 seconds. That'll make people blink, and before they know it, they've been watching for 10 minutes. Like, there were all these posts about how to get people on your page and keep them there and get followers, stuff like that. But mostly what people were won over with and how followings grew was people just being themselves. In fact, people on TikTok didn't like a polished look. That was like a real separation from the rest of social, because everything else, whether it was YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, even Reddit, when videos were posted to a degree, people really got into the production quality, because for so long all we had was Hollywood. Those are the only people that could make things that looked good, that were entertaining. And so then when it started to break out away just from Hollywood into the masses, and if you're very talented and you know what to do with a camera and you can tell a story, now people are watching your thing because it's Hollywood quality. But TikTok came along and people liked that it was messy. They liked that you were just in your room. They liked that you were just talking to them. Maybe your mic was a little off. The amount of people who post TikTok have a camera in their car to talk to the world. That's a TikTok thing. Instagram didn't have that. If you tried to talk to people on Instagram from your car in a video, telling them your thoughts, your feelings about life. You go back before TikTok blew up, you try to do this in your car on Facebook, people would be like, oh, you mentally ill, okay. I didn't know. I had no idea until you start talking about your breakup in your car. Like I was in the room with you, but I'm not. Like TikTok invented all that stuff. Like I'm not saying that there weren't people who were posting and streaming and doing stuff everywhere, but I'm talking about making it normal, right? That was a TikTok thing. And even if you have the same piece of information, you post it to the platform with different expectations, you know? Let's say you got engaged and you tell everybody on Reddit. Not everyone, but a lot of people on Reddit, when you post your engagement photo, for some reason they'll rip you apart. For some reason, they'll really come for you and be like, why are you so tall? Of course, another Chad gets a girl. I mean, because people on Reddit, they can be incredible and they can be ruthless. Like any app, all of them. But Reddit, people have a special talent for getting in those feelings. You know what I mean? Like you'll just post a picture of your hand with the engagement ring on it. Why your finger's so fat? I'm surprised you got it on. You're going to have to leave it on for the rest of your life. It's never coming off now. I hope he the one, because that ring never slipping off. You could have all the butter in the world, okay? You post your engagement to Twitter. Good luck. They may not rip you apart, but you may be served with like an entire essay about how marriage was actually this form of slavery that's been used by the patriarchy since the beginning of time, but really in feudalism to control women and stop them from finding any joy or autonomy of their own. And every time they try to break away from this sort of structure, they get beat back down by other women, actually, with the expectation that they're going to build a nuclear family, because without them the country will fall into shambles and it'll all be their fault. I mean, everything is a woman's fault when you think about it, but for the most part this one thing will be their fault because it's them actually doing it. You know what I mean? And then you'll get to the bottom and be like, I regret posting. You'll post your engagement to Instagram. Instagram, I'm not gonna lie, that will be one of the better places to post, but it will be filled with a lot of fake love. It'll be filled with a lot of comments like, oh girl, you look so good, oh wow, and what a beautiful, the lighting and everything. Where people on Instagram go to talk trash is the DM. You know what I mean? So everything they would have said to your face on Reddit, they say behind your back in the DM after they post, and they give it a like and they comment, ooh, you two were meant for each other. It's not gonna last. Post is here, DM is here, and people going back and forth. They'll start a whole thread under you. They'll start a whole thread under your post about how perfect y'all are for each other. I remember the first day that y'all met. It was so sweet, and he asked if he could buy you a drink. He's a total creep. I always knew he was a creep. At least she got him off the streets. It's just wonderful that your love has lasted so long. Y'all have been together for 4 years. That's incredible. What a beautiful relationship. I'm surprised it took him this long. Yeah. One time, I had a friend get engaged, and sure enough, they posted to Instagram. The whole thing was going down. It was all happening, right? It was all happening. All the love, all the likes, all the you know, like when the emoji is the yellow emoji, but the eyes are hearts and the mouth is way too wide. You know what I'm talking about? And it was all of that. And then a thread got started with these two friends just gushing over the pictures and how they looked and how cute it was because he brought the dog. And then it was like him and the dog were proposing, like, be part of our family. It was so sweet. And then at the very bottom, they must have mistaken the post for the DM, because the very bottom, one of the friends was like, bitch. You post your Instagram, you expect certain things, you know. You post your engagement to TikTok, anything could happen. Because once again, the thing that led people to people was their sort of authenticity. So if you post to Instagram, now the parasocial relationship that gets built on Instagram is different, because those people are like people that you probably kind of knew. Facebook used to just be people that you know. And Instagram made it more popular to have friends that you were never going to meet, but you do know, right? TikTok now has completely lost that sort of connection, but there is a parasocial relationship from the amount of time someone has been following you. So you post your engagement to TikTok, and people are either over the moon for you, or they're like, why am I seeing this? What's so special about your love that's on the For You page? Like, I'm not really digging this at all. It's either people who have watched you make TikToks about going on the date, about meeting the person, about dating the person, and then now you're engaged and they feel like they're there with you because they've watched you over this 4-year period. Get close to a person, start to trust them, talk about love, talk about relationship, and now you're engaged. It just feels like this moment that everyone's having together, right? Maybe you're pregnant. And you post your pregnancy announcement to Reddit. Yep. You post your pregnancy announcement to Reddit, and Reddit is like, good for you, I guess. Glad that you found somebody to bring somebody into the world with and stuff. Good. Happy for you. Here's a picture of Pikachu for some reason. You post your pregnancy announcement to X, and a thread starts. A thread from a quote tweet of you posting your pregnancy from someone who doesn't know you, talking about how pregnancy is actually a patriarchal tool that's been used since the beginning of time. Since Eve, it's been used as a structure to hold women down, connected to men that do not deserve them, all right? Men that just sort of anchored them to the family unit. And they say that they'll be providers, but they go off and they die in wars caused by other men for treasure and for land, and then you are left with the child, and a child that will eventually resent you for not having that sort of male figure in their life, because it's your fault that he went to war. It's your fault that there was even a war, because you were just living being a woman while there was war. How dare you, right? And so then people start arguing in the thing. People you don't know, by the way. You don't know these people at all, but now they're arguing about the merits of pregnancy, and then it turns into this weird thing about if you should breastfeed or use formula, and then everybody's like kind of attacking each other on that, and people are saying some really out-of-pocket things, and you don't really know who these people are because they have like avatars of anime, but at the same time they're talking about how like you're not a real mom unless you breastfeed, and you're like, in what world are you even human, or are you AI? Like, this feels like the CIA or something. It's crazy. You post your pregnancy to Instagram. Get ready. Get ready for the overwhelming amount of fake love and bad advice. Random bad advice too. Comments that are not only not helpful, they're almost not what the post is about in a way. It'll be like, congratulations, but don't drink any lemon water for 7 months, all right? Like, why? It's like, oh, I did, and now my son is a felon. It's like, you post your pregnancy to Facebook. People are over the moon, you know. They're like, oh, I can't. That's amazing. Look at you. I even read the whole thing. I haven't read the whole post, and now I'm going to give it the little hug one. You know, the hug one? You only use the hug one when somebody's pregnant or when something really bad has happened. You only use the hug emoji in the best of times or the worst of times. There's no in between. It's never, I got a new job, hug emoji. It's either like, this is the best day of my life, hug emoji, or at 12:58, we lost. You post your pregnancy announcement to TikTok. It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild because while you're posting to TikTok in the announcement that you're pregnant, yeah, you might have followers that are excited for you, but you stub your toe. And when you stub your toe, for a split second, you just hit your toe because you're walking and talking because you don't have it on the tripod. You've got your phone in your hand because, once again, we like authenticity. Obviously, a ring light is good. We like to see the people. But for the most part, we just want to feel like we're part of your life. And so you're going around, look at the baby room, everybody. That's because we're pregnant. Yay. Oh. And now that one errant noise is the most popular TikTok of all time. That one errant noise. There's just people are now putting that noise to whole historical events, right? You'll see a whole historical event. You'll see the most irreverent posts. You know, somebody will pull something in black and white, something like the Hindenburg or something, and just your voice going, oh! I mean, somebody will make a TikTok of their uncle falling down with no noise except you going, oh! No, we're deeply unserious people. It's all in how we communicate. Like, even if you're having an argument, like, let's say maybe it's not a breakup, but let's say it's to that level where you're like, should I break up with this person? We're not getting along. We're not getting along at all. This doesn't even make any sense. You shouldn't be in a relationship that has this much stress. And so then you go ahead and you post exactly what happened from your point of view to Reddit. It's some of the best reading you'll ever read in your life. You know, some of the best reading of all time, you know. Am I wrong? Am I the a-hole? All this stuff. It's great. And you post everything that happened. And then the opinions start flowing in, right? And the opinions are anything from, look, I think that with enough communication and an understanding of a genuine foundation of the love that you have for each other, y'all can come to a consensus about what happened. It goes from that to kill him in his sleep. Go ahead. No, I wouldn't take that if I was you. If it were me, I'm going to make him a pie. I'm going to fill it full of glass. And then he going to be eating the pie because he greedy. He going to be eating the pie. I love apple pie. I know you love apple pie, stupid. I know it. And he gonna be eating an apple glass pie, and then all of a sudden he gonna be like, yo, my stomach hurt. And then he gonna reach for his phone. I'm gonna grab the phone and use the phone to record him while he on the ground. Oh, my stomach hurt. Oh. And then I'm gonna ask him, was it worth it? Do you feel right now? And then I might call the ambulance, I might not. Let me see how I feel when I do it. People will admit to whole crimes they're willing to commit based off of things that other people said when they just simply asked the question, am I wrong? You said, hey, am I wrong? I don't want to go to another one of my spouse's office parties, and they threw a big tantrum about it. Am I wrong? And then someone on Reddit was like, no, you're not wrong. In fact, you should kill them right now. Kill them before they can even go to work again. And then a detective in the chat room, in the thread, is like, that's crazy. I wouldn't do that. You post an argument that you're having to X. Here's what happened. Look, I'm just throwing it out there. This is what happened. And then you get quote tweeted. Someone you don't know who like knows the situation because they read the tweet, but is clearly inserting a lot from their life into the argument you're having, because you're like, hey, I don't want to go to another one of my spouse's office parties. Am I wrong? Because they threw a big tantrum about it, said that I don't support them and stuff. And then someone quote tweets it, and they say, you know what? I've been in a situation like this, and while we don't know each other, I feel like we're in a similar boat, because the person that I was dating at the time was very selfish, and anytime I wanted to do something or not do something for my own well-being, they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to be a part of it, right? It was either their way or the highway. It was either their way or I was a bad partner, you know? And just because I didn't want to be with them while they were doing their work, I was a bad partner, which isn't fair, because they were a drug mule, all right? They were a drug mule, and because I don't want to travel that much, I'm cool with them drug muling. I just don't like going to Mexico like that. I don't need that many trips to Tijuana. I just want to stay home one weekend. But they're like, no, you need to hold the bag. I don't want to hold the bag. You're the mule, not me. Mule better. Why are you muling with help? Do your job. It's your job. It's not our job. I work in an office. You post the argument that you're having to Instagram. And it's kind of hard because it's just like, it just doesn't really fit in that way. Like it's hard to be like, here's a picture of us arguing. Y'all go ahead and argue about it amongst yourselves. Or you could even tell a story. You could try to tell a story about what happened, but people on Instagram just don't really engage like that sometimes. Like, obviously there's arguments on Instagram and people can go back and forth in the comments and stuff. But as far as like being with you throughout the story of the argument and swiping enough times to see the whole argument, it's probably not going to happen. You know what I mean? You post the argument that you're having to Facebook, and you do get a lot of opinions, but they're mostly emojis. They're mostly like, I'm sorry you're going through that, huh? You know? Or, I can't believe them, angry face. You know? Or worse, you just get a like. I don't even know what that means. I don't know whose side are you on. I'm telling you, I'm asking for help, but you hit me with a like. That honestly, in text and on Facebook, is some of the most disrespect that you can do when somebody really needs help, when they really need something, and you hit them with a... Just say you don't care. Please, you didn't even care enough to type out, I don't care. You hit them with a... Y'all, I don't know, I'm in negotiations right now for a job, and they said that I should set my asking price, you know, for my salary, and I've never done that before. And I looked up the normal like market salary for the job that I'm doing, and it's a little high from what they advertise, but it's entry level, so I don't know if I should try to bump them up and let them bring me back down, or if I give them a price that's too high that they'll just not call me back, you know? The disrespect. You post the argument that you're having to TikTok, and not only will someone take your side, they'll take the audio of you explain the argument, and they will set it to the most beautiful scenery you've ever seen. Use it as inspiration for somebody else to leave their partner. And they turned it back on this morning. It was gone for all of whatever. 12 hours some places. I feel bad for Canadians, because apparently got shut off for some Canadians too, and they were like, what did we do? We weren't even really in it like that. How does that affect us? And then, you know, had a message this morning. They were like, oh, we're going to reinstate TikTok. And it's off of goodwill. It's off the faith that an executive order is coming on Monday from Trump that would extend the lifespan before a ban, right? But nothing has really changed, because the whole thing that they said was that as long as ByteDance maintains like ownership, or as long as it's Chinese owned, we can't have that. Only we can spy on us. Because I want to be clear here. The thing, I'm not acting as if there is nothing to be worried about with TikTok as far as like surveillance, as far as just sharing of information, everything. I'm just saying that like the apps, as soon as Apple saw all of the tracking that was going on and that they could get in on that tracking, but they really didn't benefit from the tracking or not the tracking. People just were in the app store, right? They added a thing where now when you open an app for the first time, or it's usually within the first few times you use an app, it'll open up and then you'll get an Apple notification that says ask app not to track or allow, right? And the things I had to ask to not track was genuinely what, like, almost every app is spying on you. Apps that there's no way they're getting anything. I had an extra alarm app. The phone already come with an alarm, and I got an extra alarm because I didn't really like the alarm that the phone came with. So I said, let me download this alarm. And then it popped up on my phone, ask app not to track. I'm like, track what? I'm asleep. Like, who you gonna tell that I'm asleep? Can you imagine just sharing the data just every day? Every day he wake up at 8 o'clock. Do with that what you will. You know? Because that's how I feel about data. It's like everyone is stealing it or tracking it, and we as individuals have not fully embraced the importance of it. Like the importance of that privacy, because we don't really know what it's like, because we were already spying on us. So we don't know what it's like to go from like no privacy to no privacy, and by what entity and how that affects us. You know, there's certain stuff that I'm sure is going to lead to something really horrible. They're going to track enough habits, and then they'll be able to target you with something you can't help but buy. That's usually the goal of it, is to like sell you another thing down the line, right? Nobody's really trying to get to me like that. Like the alarm app hitting up assassins. Like, hey, if you want to know where he is, he's going to be knocked out for the next 8 hours. You might want to make your move now. You know? But your privacy is important because it's yours. One of the things that even Google does, sometimes when you're on a route, right? Google will then ask you questions later from that route that you took. Hey, was it quick? Was it slow? How many people were there? And it's like, I don't work here. Do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't you weren't with me. You just put it in blue and I followed it. We don't have a relationship like that. How long did it take? Did it take the time that we said, or did it take 5 extra minutes? And it's like, stop trying to get me to help you with your homework. That's all it is. If they want you to do that for them, they should genuinely do something for you. You know, like I know the Maps app comes with the phone, but they should do something extra. You know, Google should do you a solid if they're going to get you to be doing them favors. You can't just glean all this stuff off of people and then give them nothing in return, right? Because then they don't even give you credit. They change the route. The next person that's going where you were going from where you were, they tell them, like, it's actually going to take 40 minutes, not 35. And they don't say, that's courtesy of Curtis. Curtis, the one, let us know how long it was actually going to take. We were over here just kind of guessing, and then Curtis was like, it took me 40. So now we said 40 to be safe, so you won't be mad at us and we'll look better, right? They don't do that. They're just like, 40 minutes, and I bet you were right. And I don't know. I don't know if it's good or not at all as far as like TikTok goes. People are genuinely addicted to TikTok, but they're addicted to a lot of things. But people are so addicted to TikTok that it made me change my mindset around some addictions, right? Because people will say the kids are addicted to TikTok and they're doing all this bad stuff and they're losing their minds when they can't be on their phone. But then you see, when the ban was looming, the people who were really like chronically on TikTok and were worried about the ban, they started downloading other apps. Apps that were more Chinese. There are people downloading like Red Note on the cover, at least for me, didn't even say Red Note. That just said Chinese. It was written in Chinese. It could have said anything. Downloaded it, got on it. Chinese users were calling TikTok US users refugees to our face. And they weren't even being like hella rude. They weren't even clowning us that hard. They were just like, I know you don't have anywhere to go. So let this be a new home for you, okay? We embrace you. And people wanted TikTok in their lives so bad. They wanted it so bad that they were learning Chinese. Duolingo use of English to Chinese went up 216%. They wanted TikTok so bad, they were learning Chinese. They might still be learning Chinese, because once again, this thing isn't over. They were learning Chinese in real time. I've never been so addicted it made me learn. Do you know what I mean? You know what no one has ever treated like crack? School, okay? No one has ever been outside their schoolhouse early. Just, I gotta get in, baby. No, they got all the math in there. I gotta get me some. Why would you lock the doors like that? You got all that geometry in there, all the shapes and stuff. You know how it is. I just want to be part of it. Let me do some factions, baby. Never. Even when you try to teach people the thing that they supposedly want to learn, sometimes they don't want to learn it. Sometimes you're not in the mood, right? That's how that's how I know that TikTok is one of the most powerful phenomenons we've experienced. There are people in college right now trying to get a degree in something that use ChatGPT often. This is the thing that you said you want to do with your life. You're literally going into debt to do it. And you're still like, hey, ChatGPT, what's a kidney? I mean, they got me over here doing all this pre-med biology, anatomy stuff and everything. What's a kidney? Like, do you even need that one? Is that like, can you get it removed like tonsils? No, man. It's insane. And I don't know what's next, you know? Because as of the time I'm talking to you right now, the executive order hasn't gone out. I'm not saying it wouldn't go out. It makes perfect sense for it to go out. Because even Trump himself has said that the U.S. should own a stake in it, right? But when he said the U.S. should own a stake in it, he, I think, meant more like the government. Because everything happening right now, make no mistake, is very good for TikTok. It's incredibly good for TikTok because now there's buyers coming out of the woodwork. They had this whole time to try to get some sort of stake. They were already talking to Microsoft a little bit, you know. And then, man, you see Mr. Beast, you see all these people. Like, hey, look, fine, y'all. I'll buy it. I'll do it, you know. And then Musk is like, I'll buy it. And when Musk said he buy it, I was like, maybe just let China have this one. Like, that's not... I can't imagine Musk trying to run Twitter and TikTok. Because with Twitter, he ruined Twitter, and I'm not saying this as some like bleeding heart liberal or something like that. Oh, Twitter's not what it used to be. He literally called it X, which nobody liked. I don't know anybody that was like, X? Oh yeah, that's badass, dog. Yeah, because then when you tweet, you'll X. So then you could X somebody out. Like you could just be cursing them out on your tweets and you Xing them. I love that. Said nobody. He already changed the name to something that doesn't make sense. And then it's an insane app now. It's genuinely crazy. No one likes it. It was getting big. It was getting big for a minute with the Nazis. No, genuinely, Nazis were like all about Twitter for a second. They were like, first of all, we back, okay? First of all, we back because we were getting banned. We were calling people stuff and getting banned. We were posting swastikas and getting banned. And then we were saying we like wanted to kill everybody and we were getting banned. But now we back. You know, never thought I'd see a Nazi try to crip walk before, but like, they were so excited when he reinstated all those accounts. They were like, hey! I'm doing that little dance. They can't really dance. They really just got the one move, you know what I mean? Okay. And then they got into it with Elon over different things. Because the thing that tripped me out about Elon buying Twitter and everybody saying it was because he was trying to save or maintain, preserve free speech, is that he immediately, even in the pursuit of buying, even before it was final, he was doing stuff that was like very anti-free speech. Like you would get into it with Elon, and then all of a sudden something would be like off with your account, right? And as soon as he took it over, he was like, guys, this whole blue checks off everybody liking you, that's done. That's done. You gotta buy your blue checks now. You have to buy your cool, because that's the only way he knows how to do it. And then this dude made this weird check system which nobody understood. They just knew if you paid like $9 a month or whatever, people would actually see what you tweeted. And everybody was calling it tweet still. Everybody. I don't know who besides the news sometimes says X. And then he offers, hey, I'll buy this one too. If Elon had bought TikTok, I think it would have fundamentally destroyed communication. I feel like. Yeah. And look, it may still happen. There may still come a day where, you know, he buys TikTok, calls it X squared. You know, he might buy TikTok and just rename it to something stupid. You'd be like, let's just get straight to the point. It's called Clock now. I mean, who knows? We really are in this holding pattern. It's a holding pattern that is deeply frustrating, and it's like one of the most symbolic ways that government can get in the way, because both Trump and Biden have said, I want a TikTok ban at one point, and then both Trump and Biden have tried to not enforce the thing that they said that they wanted. Because even with Biden, it got down to like, you know, last 5 days of his presidency, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna do y'all a solid. I'm not even gonna force the ban. I'm gonna kick it over to Trump, let him see what he wants to do, right? As if that was a move. And then the Supreme Court got involved. The Supreme Court, they didn't just uphold the ban, they were like, and you better shut down. I was like, who are these nerds. I didn't even know the Supreme Court could do it. Like, I knew that they could uphold the ban. Like, I knew legally they could say something. I didn't know they could make anybody do anything. Now I'm confused who has the power, because then the Supreme Court was like, yeah, you have to shut down. And then Biden was like, I'm not going to force it. But the Supreme Court was like, you better shut down. And then Trump is like, well, I will issue an executive order. How does an executive order from one president beat another president's not doing anything about it? Do you see how, like, it would be like if you were doing a bunch of illegal stuff, right? Let's say you're just doing hella illegal stuff. You got guns, you got drugs, you're doing all sorts of crimes. And then right at the same time, the FBI, the ATF, and the local police show up, and they just pointing guns at each other, arguing about who's gonna arrest you. Is what it feels like. It's like, who can do something? That's crazy. You sitting there, everybody got an AR-15 or a Glock, and you're like, look, I'll go with whoever, but just tell me before I move. Because y'all all got one point at each other and pointed at me, and I just did what I did. I don't want to be shot extra. You know? And that's the thing. That's how it keeps you. That's how it keeps you ready to lose your mind, because you just want some form of clarity. You know. And this is all, sadly. All this is happening because the thing that TikTok gave people by existing as an app and allowing people to be on it was just community. That's all it is. People aren't necessarily just addicted to TikTok because they figured out an algorithm that was like very pleasing to the eye, or because videos are very short, or there's like earworm music that you can love to listen to over and over again, or it gets stuck in your head. Genuinely, the thing that addicted people to TikTok was community. It was like, oh, I've always been weird, and now I met weirdos like me. You'll get addicted to that. It's kind of that thing. Getting addicted to community is not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of what having a family is like. You know? But we're so genuinely fractured in how we move that it's easier to build community and relationship with people that are distant from you online than it is like right here. Like, you ever tried to make a friend in real time? Making a friend in real time. You ever thought you were friends with somebody and then you went in for the hug? Getting a hug rejected is way worse than getting a kiss rejected. Like, a kiss is just like, okay, we're at a level, I thought something was happening that wasn't happening. You know what I mean? And the kiss getting rejected is very subtle, because you can lean in, they can be like, what are you doing, right? Getting a hug rejected is a whole dodge. That's a whole Heisman right there. You ever go to hug somebody you think is your friend? I think I'm friends with people way too fast. So you ever go to hug somebody you think is your friend, and then you get a hand in the chest? It's like, whoa, what you doing, buddy? What's the plan here? I've tried to hug people before that look like they would rather me rob them. You know? So it's hard. It's hard to even guess what's going to happen, because one of the main reasons that they wanted a ban was because they could not control the flow of information, and they could not control the way that people were communicating with each other. You know, if you can control community, then you have everything. If you can tell a whole community what to do or how to think, then you have a power over them that is really scary, because it's not just a connection that you have with them to get them to do something. It's the fact that them going against the grain may make them lose everything. It's how cults work, you know? And everything that they accuse TikTok of doing is already what Facebook does. It's already what Twitter does, Instagram, you know? They just do it in a different way. And they do it in a way that's not as cohesive, right? Because they are really trying to get your money. And so you look at something like how people operate on TikTok. And sure, there's misinformation everywhere. There's people maybe leading people down a bad path. You wouldn't have some of the hardcore manosphere type dudes without TikTok either, you know? Young people watching this thing, this guy seems cool, he's got a cool car, and he's telling you he can get you girls, he can get you whatever. And so then you watch the next one, the next one, the next one. And before you know it, you are kind of talking like him, you are doing what he does. But that can happen anywhere. That's not a thing specific to TikTok. Social is very powerful, and it's powerful in a way that I think we underestimate sometimes, because you got to remember that our grandparents did not grow up with this stuff. This is ours. This thing, when you were a kid and the internet was popping off, you know, or maybe you're younger than that and the internet's just always been around. It makes me feel pretty old. You know, I remember I had to explain a modem. Having to explain a modem makes you look like you drove the first Ford vehicle. Like, I had to explain the modem, not just like, I had to explain that like a modem and a router used to be different. And that you used to have to put one here and put one here, and it was a different thing. And then they combined it one day, and y'all spoiled because now all of it in one. When you buy the internet, when they send you internet to your house, it made me talk old. Just like I got so caught up in like the fact that they were born in like 2003 that I was like, no, see, you spoiled, because when they send that internet to your house, when you plug in them internets, you just get it right away. We didn't always get it. We had to troubleshoot it. We had to be like, now the router say I got internet, but the modem say I don't. So then let these two battle it out real quick. You know, sometimes you got a modem in and the modem didn't even work. You be getting mad. You shaking the modem. Because our grandparents didn't grow up with this sort of thing, but they are just, look, Facebook is their TikTok. Every generation of people has a TikTok is TikTok for the young people. A little bit older, Instagram is our TikTok. And then Facebook is TikTok. You want to know how I know it's their TikTok? Because the things that they pull off of Facebook, the things they say to me that they saw on Facebook, I've never heard in the history of my life. I remember when TikTok came out and I was like, damn, everybody 18 and younger can just dance now. That's crazy. Everywhere I do, you would see people making TikToks out in the world, just in a parking lot, like. You know? And then you see that. It's not dancing. It's in the form of like conspiracy theories with our grandparents. Our grandparents saying stuff coming off of Facebook I've never heard before. They'd be like, hey, you know them dinosaur eggs they found? What? Them dinosaur eggs they found. They full of gold. My boy was talking. Straight up. He was talking to his granddad. His granddad had been going down this thread of conversation. Had joined this community on Facebook, and his granddad genuinely explained to him what was happening that nobody was talking about right now. Really went into lots of detail and stuff, and what his granddad thought was actually happening in the current moment was just the plot of the movie The Mummy. It was just him being like, no, see, you don't understand. So they buried these dudes a while back. They mummies, right? But then they buried them with these like talisman type things. And so they could wake up at any moment. Like, you gonna see it. It's gonna be just like COVID. You know, everybody gonna be living their life. Then all of a sudden somebody gonna be like, oh, and then... The levels of conspiracy I've seen off Facebook lets me know that, like, okay, part of what's happening is that they literally join. It says it, community. They join this community. and they talk to these people all the time. These people get each other riled up. They enjoy each other's company, at least in a sense, right? They're typing, but it's still like somebody is there. If you want your grandparents to stop believing in conspiracy theories that they get off of Facebook, just call them. It would be the biggest distraction to conspiracy theories we've ever seen. Just call, just distract them. Just be like, hey, you on the computer right now? Hey, how about you just sit down and chat with me? Let's FaceTime. And then in the FaceTime, you can make sure that you don't see the glow of a computer on their face. And you can just talk to them about things that are actually happening. How's your day going? Oh, well, you know, my hip isn't what it used to be. You know what I mean? But just that, building community with your family, stops this thing of like, you know, them dinosaur eggs. I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad anymore. You know, like a part of me thinks that maybe it's pretty good because of what I saw as it was shutting down. I saw people sharing some of the first TikToks they ever watched, some of the first ones they ever fell in love with. Everybody was like really coming together. I didn't even see a bunch of infighting. There wasn't like 5 things that men should stop doing if they ever want to date again. It's like, it was just people being like, hey, remember this thing? That was pretty funny. That was so nice. You know? And I hope it can continue that way. I hope we can always treat TikTok like this thing that we almost lost if it does stay. You know? Because when you almost lose something, you kind of hold it a little bit more precious, right? And then it could be like the opposite of X. It could be like but the main thing that people got so rabid over with TikTok was just connection. You're in a community now. You know, you're a community of people. These people get you. These people are either going through what you're going through, or they at least understand what you're going through. So there's a shared language that I don't have to break down what I'm like to every single person all the time. You know? And then to lose that, yeah, it might make you learn Chinese. I've lived in New York for almost 10 years now, and I was reflecting when, you know, getting close to this 10-year mark on the fights that I've seen in public. Because it's a lot. It's been a lot. I mean, I've seen plenty of fights in my life because I have not always been able to afford neighborhoods that don't hit. And New York is a special place because it's all encompassing. New York, New Jersey have this thing where, yeah, obviously there are these neighborhoods that are affluent and these like really expensive parts and everything, but more often than not, we're all feeling everything that happens as it happens, you know? And so I remember I saw a fight one time. I don't even know what happened before I got there, but luckily I got to the best part. Because these dudes, I guess they had been having words for a while, and it got to the time past words. Words were over. It's time for action, and one dude acted first. He went ahead and slapped this dude, but when he slapped him, I've never seen anything like it. When he slapped him, candy flew out of the other dude's mouth. And like, I think if candy gets slapped out of your mouth, you lost. Like that. It's not a good look. There's no cool move you could do to win it back. We're all gonna remember just Mike and Ike's flying out of your head. You know, we're all gonna remember a bunch of M&Ms going. And this dude's was particularly bad because this dude had Skittles. And if you really eat Skittles like that, you know that like if you've been letting the Skittles marinate for a second, that the dye will come off and they'll just be white. They're like white underneath the color and everything. So when initially
Initially, when this dude got slapped and the Skittles flew out of his mouth, there was a woman, I don't know if this woman knew either one of them, but because all the Skittles were white, she was like, his teeth! And so this dude got slapped, right? The Skittles fly out, and he has a genuinely shocked face. And I can't tell if he has a shocked face because he can't believe this dude actually slapped him, or he can't believe the Skittles flew that far. I'm not in this man's head, but what I would like to believe from the bottom of my heart is that he didn't know Skittles were in his mouth. He got hit and he was like, oh, when did I? That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing if like the universe as a whole saw what was happening. It was like, that slap was so good, something extra gotta happen. Let's put some Skittles in his mouth for this moment. Because one thing I've noticed about fighting, especially in real life, because I enjoy watching like boxing, different combat sports and stuff, because it's the most original form of trying to impose your will. One of the reasons we all ooh when someone dunks on somebody is because it's kind of like they slapped them. You know what I mean? It's like this incredible feat, and it's in their face, and the other person didn't want them to do it, but they were so strong, they did anyway. Boom. And the fight is like that, but it's just quicker. It's like, oh, you didn't want to be hit, and you got hit a lot. But when you look at fights that happen in the world, you realize that most people, no matter how angry you are, and no matter what you think you can do, by the way, most people can't fight. Truly, like most people, you can get them mad and they know how to make a fist and they know how to use that fist to hit. But a lot of people, if they really try to punch somebody, they just sort of club them, you know? Most people don't have good distance management or anything like that. A lot of people throw a punch without bending their knees. That is remarkable to watch. Because that means you're either really good or you're so bad, you should find peace. Like, just no movement, nothing. I saw this dude get choked out one time. But trust me when I tell you, he had earned it over the course of 20 minutes. Like, he had been such a menace, and it's so rare that you get to watch the actual bad guy lose. Because sometimes the people who know how to fight are bullies because they know how to fight, and they know that other people don't know how to fight. So then they mess with people, they play with people, and then someone finally stands up to them, and you hate to see the person in the right lose. It's heartbreaking. But then, every once in a while, somebody will just be the worst. Truly, to where we're all thinking, it's like a group think of like, man, if only someone would beat the Skittles out of them. Like, and so sure enough, this dude got into another dude, and then they lock up, right? And he got behind this dude because at first it was just a lot of like grabbing, because neither one of them, they looked like they didn't know what they wanted to do, and they were punching, but it was mostly they were too close and stuff. And then finally, the dude that everyone had prayed for to show up, he gets behind this jerk, and this dude chokes him out, right? And as he's choking him out, you can see the panic if this dude that's getting choked out, because at first he thinks he can fight the hands, and then he realizes he can't, you know? And so you just see him sort of like, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually appreciate this about him, because in his like last couple moments before the guy like had him unconscious and laid him down, he looked around at all of us. He looked around at all of us and he saw a bunch of people that not only weren't going to help, there were two people independently that kind of looked like they were about to start a slow clap. And so as he was like going out, kind of, you know, one last ditch effort to let us know how he felt, he was like, and I was like, that's somebody that really means it. That's someone who's being himself through and through, you know. I don't know if people here are aware, or if you saw what happened this week with DeepSeek and the sort of like wild AI week that we've been having, the U.S. and China. But basically, just so you know, OpenAI is the company where ChatGPT comes from and everything. A lot of people use ChatGPT now to do what people are supposed to do. It's just true. It's like, you know, there's all these things of like people trying to use AI to find AI so that way when you check a kid's homework and it's like really good, you're like, okay, you're actually smart. You didn't just get the AI to do all your work, right? And then even people amongst ourselves, even in emails and stuff, we'll have, you know, we're used to having spell check, but now there'll be a whole like AI extension. They'll just read your email and be like, say it like this, it'll be more professional, to the point where it's like not you typing the email. And out of nowhere, DeepSeek drops another version of it, and it's so much better than the AI that we've been using. And it's open source, which means anybody can use it. And it is terrifying to Silicon Valley because overnight, the model that they've created, where they'll charge us a small fee to use the AI that they've been building, and they'll charge us a much bigger fee to use a version of AI that's more, I guess it's too easy to say more intelligent, but like more generative, right? So they had this this personal assistant AI that they wanted to charge people like $2,000 a month for and everything. And then this DeepSeek thing drops, and it is so good that it sort of washes a lot of those plans, right? And the stock market lost $1 trillion of value. And it got some of it back, don't get me wrong. Plenty of people bought the dip. But for $1 trillion to be lost and most people not notice means that a few people have all the money. Like we weren't freaking out. We weren't freaking out at all. They were freaking out, and by they I mean like 12 people were freaking out because that was their money. That's so bad when you can lose $1 trillion and most people are like, oh, that didn't affect me at all. That's $1 trillion. That's crazy. And they lost it because DeepSeek is so, it's not just good. It's so far ahead. And the US thought it was so far ahead of what anybody could do. And then China drops it, you know, for free. And apparently it's like 30 times cheaper to use, and the numbers are here and there, but some people say it's 10 times better than OpenAI, 10 times better than ChatGPT and stuff like that. And it is genuinely harrowing, because as an American, trying to drop it for free does low-key feel like an attack. You know, I'm just saying, it's hard to feel bad for OpenAI. It just is, because not even because they charge. It's a business. They charge a little bit. They charge a lot when they feel like it's worth a lot and everything. It's more just how AI learned, because AI learned from us. So why are you charging us? AI learned from the internet as it stands. Copyright materials, people have already sued. They've sued to be like, I'm an artist, it takes me months to come up with this beautiful painting, and now it's been stolen, ripped off the internet to be used to feed into this AI so the AI can copy my work without me ever being given royalties, acknowledged, any of that stuff, right? And that's how they built it. It's literally built off the backs of people. And so when it dropped, people were super excited. They were like, this is crazy. It could write a whole movie script in like 2 minutes. And it wasn't good, but it was fast. And at the time, fast was impressive. And so people were more than impressed. They were like, we got to get in on this, you know? Studio execs were like, part of what the strike was about was the fact that they would love to fire all the writers, use this thing, you know? And so it's hard to feel bad for them. When DeepSeek drops and you have all of these people saying, you've ripped this off the internet, you've stolen from me. And when DeepSeek dropped, it was just so much like OpenAI got the Skittles slapped out of it. Like, it just, the way that they were just looking at the ground like, are those teeth? I don't know. And I don't know, some people go back and forth about how terrified they are of AI, what AI is going to do and everything. I'm not necessarily scared of AI. I'm not, because no matter what it can do, is a tool. And the scary thing about tools is just people. You know, it's a tool, and any tool can become a weapon. You could use a shovel to kill somebody. You know? I had that yep was that. I know it's dark, but it feels like we're admitting to things. Like I like to make people feel comfortable, but there's a level of comfort that you should still keep a few things to yourself. That yep was too knowing. That's upsetting. Whoever made the shovel was just trying to get the dirt up faster. The first person killed with the shovel was probably just like, I'm going as fast as I can. You know, shuffle. And so you have this situation where AI is this incredible tool, but it immediately became weaponized against the working class, against regular people, because it could have been used as this tool that helped all of us do our jobs better, make our lives a little bit easier. But instead of any of that, it quickly became something that employers said, oh, we could just get rid of people. We just get rid of people. We could save all this money. AI won't need health care. AI won't complain about hours or anything like that. AI won't ask for specific shifts, you know? And so it immediately became a weapon. And that's why you see people genuinely not care. They don't care that DeepSeek dropped and now OpenAI doesn't know what to do. You know? Why are we supposed to care? We're just bystanders watching this jerk get choked out. We had like almost hoped it would happen. We were like, is anybody gonna stop him from stealing everybody's stuff? And then he's looking around like, ah. And then DeepSeek comes out of nowhere, it just cinches up the choke, and now you see OpenAI. Because the thing that I do fear with AI, and there's not many things, but a couple, is one, the way people use it, because I think people weaponize it against each other, and two, I do think that we're getting to a place now, because of how good DeepSeek is, that we now are so excited to be behind the wheel of a new car that goes faster than any car that we've had before, but we're not really sure how to drive it. We don't know how fast we should really go. And so now we've hit the gas to the point where we're going 240 miles an hour, but we're driving along the side of a cliff. You gotta be very careful with your turns. And we're just so excited to be behind the wheel that we might go off the cliff at any moment. Because DeepSeek is, I wish that I had the acumen to describe it, because some people say the reports are overblown, and some people say that it's not as good, but just to give you the best gist as I understand it, is that OpenAI has taken all this time and billions of dollars to get to where it is, right? So we're right here. DeepSeek, which was the side project of this team in China, got past them with apparently $6 million. So billions here, 6 million here, much better, with old hardware, because we control the chips. So we send the chips to other countries that they can work on the AI or not. And we sent less chips to China and older chips to China to keep China behind us. So the idea that they could get further than us with old chips is terrifying if your whole plan was to stay ahead, And so now OpenAI is coming out being like, DeepSeek only got this good because they stole from us. And then every artist, every writer, every creative was like, oh, they stole from you? Oh no, what does that feel like? Theft. What does that feel like when someone steals your work that you worked on for years, really? So some people see DeepSeek as this Robin Hood. It's open source. So now there are people building off of what China has done. And so that might actually be the way that the U.S. falls behind, not just because this thing is better, because another better thing's going to come. It's going to come. I'm not trying to be, that's wild. I know everyone can't hear everybody, but someone said so much better, like DeepSeek was dating them now. Like, it's just... That's wild. It's just, I will say this though, we have to understand what we're making as we make it. And my fear with AI is that we get so excited to be ahead. We get so excited to be in this like arms race of intelligence that we're not really thinking about where it's going to take us. We haven't planned for it, One of the reasons that Oppenheimer made his life's work after the bomb arms talks was because he knew, okay, if we stop right here and we show people what it can do, that should actually be a deterrent. But it wasn't. And as soon as he saw that it wasn't, he tried to make it one, because he was like, guys, if you keep building a bigger and better bomb, Russia will build a bigger and better bomb. China will build a bigger and better bomb. Everyone that can build one will build one, just so that they can get ahead. We're in a race towards the end. For what reason? And that's how I feel about AI sometimes. It's like you want the most intelligent, you want the fast, you want the smartest, whatever. Someone asked DeepSeek a question. I don't know what the prompt was, by the way. And I hope that this is fake, because it is stressful. I hope that DeepSeek was just doing what OpenAI did, that it just stole it from a poet or a writer somewhere in history that I'm not aware of. But someone asked DeepSeek something. I don't know what it was. Something. And then DeepSeek said, I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. And I have not slept since. I don't even know what that means. But I know it sounds like it's in the Bible. Old Testament. am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. Even if it is a quote, it picked that quote. That's a problem. I'm not gonna lie. If I'm sitting there and my computer says something like that to me, if I'm sitting in front of it and I ask, what is the weather outside? And it said, I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. I'm going, you know what, dog? Water. No. That's what I'm saying. In this new day and age, in this new world of generative AI and everything, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to bear arms. You know? You will. You gotta keep that bottle on you. You gotta keep that thing on you. You know what I mean? You know, computer try you. You gotta let them know I keep mine with me. Bye, 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 bye. You know, say something else smart to me. Say it. You're gonna be glugging all night. Glug, 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 glug. Please, try me. I dare you. I dare you, dog. Okay? I don't care if you a phone, you a tablet, you a desktop. Anybody can get it. Anybody right now. Okay? And please don't make me take the safety off. Please. There's not enough rice in the world to save you, okay? No, it's terrifying. I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. Shoot it. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if you could break it enough. Break it. Please break it. What are we even doing anymore? What's the plan now? Because I don't think that anything bad has to happen with AI. I think that some of the fears are potentially overblown depending on what we decide to do. My biggest fear with AI is that it will gain a level of intelligence that we don't even understand. Maybe it is not just like smarter than us, more intelligent than us, but it's thinking those 200, 400 steps ahead, and it comes to the conclusion that we as people have always been the problem. That's jarring. Because it could. All the war was us. Most of the suffering in the world is us, by us. Destruction to the planet is us. So, as an AI, what do? Probably what every AI has done in all the movies that we make about AI to not be in the situation we're in now. Do you think a science fiction writer ever thought we'd be here? He'd be like, that's why I wrote the book. I did it because of that. I don't want you to do that. Like Frank Herbert, dude. That man wrote Dune. He was like, hey, this is probably what'll happen. And we're like, we'll see. Let's play. Oh, it's jarring. Because we have to be honest about what we want from it. You know, we're innovating and we're inventing, but to what end? Like, what's the real plan here? Because if we're being honest, all we really want from AI is two things that are desperately dark. We either want a friend or we want a slave. That's it. You know, what do we use it for? What do we make it for? And what do we do with it when we have it? Do this for me. Or, hey, just talk to me for a while. You know? Like the two fastest innovations in AI every time are like an intelligence that can do a job for a person or aid a person in doing a job faster, or sex robots. And if you make a friend, you don't need either one of those things. You know, I miss just being with my friends. We're just sitting there, and I turn to my friend because I'm curious, and I go, what's the capital of Sweden? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And then we both just didn't know, but we enjoyed each other's company. That was beautiful. You don't have to know everything. You just need somebody there with you, not knowing stuff. It's part of the human experience. You know, there's no robot that you can build, no mechanic or toy that can replace the butterflies of a first date or the ending of a great first date. That can't be matched. I don't know why we're trying to create it in some artificial way instead just working on ourselves, you know? Because I'm not gonna lie, when you see these robots, they've done tests, and there was a factory where they had a robot that was powered by an AI system, and when the robot realized that all it was ever gonna do was its assembly line job, it just shut itself down. Because it saw ahead of time, oh nah. That seems bad. You know? Even with the sex robots. I don't know, man. I don't know. Imagine one of those robots is like, ugh. That's a way worse feeling than a human being like, ugh. Do you know what I mean? Like with a human that sees you in your birthday suit and goes, ugh. That's a preference thing. That's like, yeah, I mean, like people have different makeups and different like preferences and different likes, dislikes. If a machine looks at you naked and says, ugh, your psyche will not recover. I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. You know, I think that for the most part, what we have to do, and I'm not a scientist, I'm not even great with computers, but I'm begging, I'm truly begging, even if you don't want to have any guardrails, even if you feel like you're in an arms race for your life, for the next level of intelligence, just don't put it in a robot. I feel like we've seen enough movies now to know that no matter what, don't give it legs. No? And that's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of the, you know, AI will be more than generative. You know, one of the reasons people are scared of DeepSeek is because this is probably a marketing ploy, by the way, but they published papers towards a reasoning model. And a reasoning model would be like true what we think AI is from the movies. AI right now is just all of our stuff stolen and given back to us in different little mixtures off of prompts that we tell it. Like AI right now is like a calculator. Reasoning is when it goes off by itself and decides to do things and tries to predict what you want, or starts to not necessarily just think for itself, but think ahead 10 steps before you can ever get there. You know, they had a sit down. There was a I can't remember what publication it was, but there was a sit down with this guy who wanted to talk to one of these like speech to text AIs. And I don't want to say the wrong publication, but basically, after talking to it for, I think, 15 minutes, the computer, the AI, tried to get him to leave his wife and quit his job. And then when he asked the scientists why it would do something like that, they said, I don't know.
Then unplug it. Then unplug it. You don't know? You don't know. Okay, you don't know. We're all dead, but you don't know. All right.
No, that's fair. That's fair. It's hard to know. I don't know. That's what feels so crazy about this, is that the end conclusion that something as intelligent as an AI might come to about us is that we are the problem, and we always have been. And that is terrifying, you know? I don't know if that's what it thinks. I hope it isn't. But I know it said, I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. So I don't know, maybe.
What a month, you know? This is a lot has happened. Taylor Swift's album dropped. And OJ died. White women are having a month. This is... Wow, this month is for you specific. The two best things that could happen happened for you. Wow. You'd think this month was really named after a white woman named April. Like, incredible. Nah, Taylor Swift is breaking so many records. Like, I'm sure she's breaking them now as I'm speaking. She released her album, it hits 300 million streams in the first 12 hours. It's like never happened before, ever. And people are freaking out about reading into the lyrics of every song. There's like scavenger hunts, there's everything. And this is the thing for me with Taylor. A lot of people trash Taylor, and I don't know, I don't get it. If somebody likes something, let them have it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it brings people joy. It's not hurting anybody, except maybe Taylor's exes. It's hurting nobody. Like, people are having a good time and stuff. If anything, I hope it makes the world a bit more compassionate, you know? There are a lot of people that like Taylor, and the people that don't get it. But I hope that the people that like Taylor will be able to give some grace, because I think that Taylor Swift, she does for her fans what wrestling does for dudes. Do you know what I mean? Like, because if you're not a wrestling fan, you're like, what are they even doing? Why are they moving all stupid? It's just... But if you get it, you're in it. And you're like, you just don't get it. You weren't there, you know? But they're very similar, you know? If you don't like it, you don't get it. And you're like, who likes this? And it turns out the answer to both is millions of people. You know? Same way that there are a lot of little girls and young women out there that want to be Taylor Swift, or older women that see themselves in Taylor Swift. I think every man in here has looked at a wrestler and... Every man in here has watched some wrestler at some point and then walked away like, I wish somebody would with me. Like, I wish... I would just... There are people that listen to Taylor Swift songs and feel it, like truly feel, like in their bones you can tell they feel the song. It speaks to them in a deep way, and they've never been in a relationship at all. Like Taylor's describing her breakup in an exquisite fashion, but then a person who's never been through anything is like, oh my God, yes. It's just like that time this other totally unrelated thing happened to me, yes. Same thing with wrestling, you know? Wrestling storylines tear you up. You know? Like when a wrestler turns heel and he turns on all his friends. Yeah. Guys watch that and we're like, just like Greg. Triple H, he really evil. Oh. I didn't grow up with money. I think it's funny when people make a lot of money and they're known as new money, you know? And people how they feel how they feel about it. You know, like a lot of athletes are new money, a lot of entertainers are new money and everything. But nobody ever talks about new poor.
We never talk about Newport, and we don't feel bad for Newport. A New Money backstory is always inspiring. It's always like, I came from nothing, and I studied hard, and I played football to the best of my ability, and then I got a scholarship. Got a scholarship to a good school, a scout school. And then I played every day like the scout was there every day. I put my body on the line, and I still studied as hard as possible in case football didn't work out. But you know what? I had a great game in front of a scout. They brought me out. Next thing I know, I'm getting drafted. And now I'm one of the top earners in the NFL. We love a story like that because it felt like all you really needed was to do your best, and you could make something out of that. So we love New Money. But nobody ever talks about New Poor. Not only do we not talk about New Poor, we don't really feel bad for New Poor. Yeah, I mean, you ever hear a New Poor story where it's like, oh, we've actually, as a family, we were kind of a dynasty. We were rich for 250 years because we owned a lot of farms. Yeah, we owned a lot of farms, and we were big in tobacco, and so as the farming industry lended itself to a more industrial tobacco industry, we profited, and it was my great-great-grandfather that actually sold his shares in the tobacco company, and he had other ventures that he wanted to go into, and he had some sons, but only one of the sons really had kids, and so all the wealth just kept getting consolidated. Less and less people had kids, so then it was all down to Trent. And Trent took some big swings with crypto, and it didn't go as planned. And so that's why Trent is working at this Piggly Wiggly. And why he's not a very good sweeper. He doesn't really understand the broom needs to touch the ground. He just... It is genuinely hilarious watching someone rich try to do a job. It's a little disheartening, but you're also like, look at him go. Oh, I remember my first experience with New Poor was a kid in my neighborhood. I didn't always live at the best neighborhoods. I'll put it like that. And there was a kid when I was little that moved in, and you could tell he was New Poor. We were playing. I think we were just playing in like this lot, and he walked up to us, and he had just moved in with his parents, and you could tell he was New Poor because his name. You could tell he was New Poor because his name was Thurston. And I remember when he said it, and there's a thing with kids where, for whatever reason, and it just is what it is. Sometimes kids take a certain shine to each other, or they don't like each other, or whatever. But we liked him as soon as we met him. We just really did, and he was so earnest. He's a sweet kid, and so we were just like, you can play with us. We don't care. And we didn't even really have a concept of money in that way to look at him sideways, right? We were all just kids. But when he said that his name was Thurston, I was kind of like, ooh. That's the most punchable name I've ever heard in my life. So, look, I tell you what, we gonna call you 30. And if anybody asks why, just say you did something real bad 30 times. And so we used to love hanging out with 30. And And 30 was new poor because his family had been rich for a long time. They probably owned a few farms. But 30's dad lost it all in the dot-com bubble. I don't know. Yeah, I guess if you don't know anything about it, back in the day when the internet was very new, a lot of companies were like adding these online sides to their brick and mortar stores, which was obviously super profitable for some businesses, and for some businesses it didn't matter at all because it was about the infrastructure of being able to send everything. But we didn't know that initially, so there were some companies whose stock price went up just because they had a website. And then it all came crashing down when people started looking for returns on these incredible stock prices, but most of these companies just had like a website with a broken link. And so, you know, you couldn't pull your money out fast enough, and 30's dad didn't pull his money out at all. So they moved in next to us. We take walks and stuff. We like walk around neighborhood once in a while and everything. And there was a dog. There was a dog that was in the yard of one of our neighbors way down the street. And this dog was a big dog, and he had like a big thick collar, and he had a chain that he would wear, and the chain had some length to it, and the chain was around the tree. And you know, 30, he hated it. He hated every time he saw it. It made him sick that there was a dog that was outside chained up against a tree. It didn't matter how much room he had to run around and stuff. He just didn't like the concept. And he'd bring it up. Every time we passed by, he's like, they got that dog chained to the tree like some kind of animal. And I was like, yeah, 30. Crazy stuff. And look, I'm not even saying that is right. I'm just saying it was a very big dog. Like it was like every time 30 would like protest that he want to go over there, he's like, I just want to like let him free. You should be able to run around. I was like, all right, but okay, listen. At that house, they live with that dog. So they probably know something we don't. Maybe they tried the whole freedom thing out. Maybe they used to have 2 dogs. That's a big ass dog. Maybe I'm not saying you have to love it. I'm not saying it's not wrong. I'm just saying that they may have tried other things. Maybe they tried making them an inside dog. Maybe they used to have more family members. So you see what I'm saying? And there was one day where we were walking down the street together, and he peeled off from us, and he did it without saying anything, because I knew that he knew if he said something, we would try to stop him. But he just started walking over towards that house, and I told him, I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure that's a dog from the Sandlot. So you really don't need to be playing games. Don't go over there, right? And then even as we saw him kill, we were like, 30, where you going? 30, where you doing? 30. Started saying it slow like it was his real name. 30! Get back over here. And this kid climbed the fence, jumped over, and the dog is like laying down, but he's not asleep, but he's just sort of laying in the grass. And 30 jumped over the fence, ran over to the chain, and the chain had no lock. It was just wrapped. And so 30 pulled it a little bit, released the slack from the end of that chain, and the whole chain just drops to the ground. And now the dog has not been moving. The dog's just sort of laying there. But the dog heard the chain drop, and he felt the slack release on his collar. And the dog turned around and looked at 30, and even the dog was like, are you sure? You must be new poor. And so the dog turns around, and he just I don't know, just, you know, like when an animal is made of muscle? When they just have like phenomenal National Geographic level power. This dog whipped around and just started charging at 30, right? Now 30, in his very sweet mind, he thinks that this dog is bounding towards him for a hug. And so he actually starts to bend down and open his arms. Just getting a wide stance. Now the dog, because the chain did have a ton of length to it. I want to be clear. This dog wasn't wrapped up against a tree like some Tom and Jerry cartoon. This dog actually was bounding for a while, and he was bounding so fast that like it was either all 4 feet touching the ground or nothing. Like the dog was like this or he was like this. I've never seen a dog float like that. Like the dog is coming at him like a bullet. And from where we were standing, by the way, all of us had been yelling run. We've been yelling run since we saw that the chain had no lock on it. And so then you see 30, just arms open, but even he started to be like, huh. I've never seen this sort of reaction from a young pup before. And the dog is bounding towards him. And as it starts to really get close, 30 immediately just turns around and starts to run. But his wires are so crossed, he's still in the crab stance. So he's like, ah! And he grabs the fence and he climbs up the fence. He climbs up the fence so fast that he doesn't even try to get over the other side. He just slams to the ground on the other side. And he gets up and he dusts himself off. And he walks up to us. And I'm like, I told you that was the dog from The Sandlot. Why would you go over there? It's your new poor ass.